Good morning. Let's try this again. I'm Malcolm Nance. I'm the host of Black Man Spy, Groundhog Day edition of day 128 of the U.S.-Iran war. It is Groundhog's Day. We just did this 10 minutes ago. We're having technical difficulties, and apparently I'm going to place the blame squarely on Substack because this one came up nicely. It was on before, and as soon as we went live, audio was lost. So my apologies to you. As you see, I do not have a big technical crew of people. I don't have an external studio. I don't have staff. I am not Don Lemon. I am not one of these organizations. It's just me, my high speed, who's it for the what's it? Hey, look, we're wearing hats today. Wajeeh has his Haji cap, and I'll wear
Mhm.
my EOD seller's hat. But yes, you're right. Roasted pistachios. It is never a dull moment here on Black Man Spy. Somebody says Karen says she's been having issues with Substack since yesterday afternoon. That's quite possible. I just want to let you guys know here in the Northeast United States, it has moved across the country. Extreme heat is impacting everything. We had a brownout yesterday, a brownout because of the number of air conditioning systems that went on. It hit 101 degrees yesterday. And we're in the north. We're not like Washington, D.C. I'm 2 hours north of New York City. Um, the city easily went over 100. Washington, D.C. tomorrow is estimated to be 107 degrees. I haven't hit temperatures like that since I lived in the Middle East, right? That's middle. That's not even Dubai weather. All right, because Dubai is on the water. All right, it's not Abu Dhabi weather. This is not even El Ain. El Ain is a what do you call it? An oasis. Okay, this is way down in the Ruba Khali, right? The empty water between the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, and the great sand sea that they have down there. That's the last time I saw 107 degrees. But now we're getting it here in the United States. Somebody says, close my shades. That's a good point. Hold on. Let me see. I might improve the light. Roger, good morning. While I
Good
close
morning.
my
Good morning.
shades, yeah, that's a good point because I just spent an 20 minutes closing every shade in this house. And I actually think that I'm overextending the light that I'm getting in this room. So Waja, how are you this morning? How's temperatures out where you're at?
It's 70 degrees and humid and cloudy, but that's okay because I'm indoors. Uh,
Yeah, that's okay because you're indoors. That's nice. That's pretty.
well,
As you
there
also
has
see, I
a
do
lot
not have
been
a lighting
happening.
regime here.
Yeah.
What's been
The
happening
the
in
the
your
well,
part of
you
the world? I have
my
a
part
lot
of
in
the
the book today. If you want to go through the book, that's a different animal. How's things where you are in your house and your partner or husband or whatever? Is everything cool
is
and copacetic?
everything is okay, taking it day by day. You know, the days are long and the years are fast.
Yeah. Starting to sound like the hadiths. Okay. My lighting is fine. Actually, I did cut down my light because we have a lot of artificial light coming in, a lot of sunlight. And I do not, like I said, I used to have a studio in this house. MSNBC installed a studio in the basement with 180-degree lighting, adjustable lighting. They actually had a remote camera, and people who lived around here in upstate New York would come to my house and say, "Hey, Malcolm, I got to do a hit. Can I do the hit from MSNBC Studios, Malcolm's house?" And, and so, yeah, they would run down in our basement. We had these old servants'
Well,
quarters
did they
down.
take it down?
Yeah, when COVID happened, when I left MSNBC to go into the Ukrainian army, they were there the next day. They had a crew up here, disassembled everything, and left. But it
Wow.
was the rise of COVID, and that it was that period in COVID where everyone started to remote, and Zoom became the default. became the default way of communicating remotely. And then from Zoom came up, we got multiple different companies suddenly realized there's billions of dollars in remote chatting and remote linking. And so you remember the famous video of the guy on the BBC, right? Who was sitting there in his home
Oh
office and
my god.
the little kid comes walking out like this. And then the little sister comes running in to grab him. And then the mom comes running behind them in the shot. It became a global sensation
Oh
uh,
my god.
because of that. So that's a good question. So, Wajid, give us some back story stuff going on. And I'm going to go open the chat for today, which is day 128. So I'll be off camera for a second, but I can hear you. I'm actually on the chat right now.
Backstory.
Yeah. What's
Well,
just halas?
let me
What kind of hat are you wearing today?
well, this is actually my grandpa's hat. This is the hat we usually wear with the turban. But
Define it.
if you want to hear
What's
an
its name?
interesting story, this is Kawuk. My grandpa's name is Muhammad Ahmad Yassin Al Khiyari. His dad was the founder of the library in the second holiest mosque.
Ah.
And he was one of the Qurra of the Haram al Madani. He
Hmm.
was the one of the reciters.
Readers,
And yes,
reciters, qara, one who reads.
yeah, reciters of the Quran in the second holiest mosque was very well known.
Hmm.
But an interesting story for you. I came to the United States when I was about 12.
Hmm.
You
Chat is
know,
up, by the way. Hmm.
so if you think about the schools in Saudi Arabia are separated, boys and girls.
Hmm.
And in Saudi Arabia, I never interacted with a woman outside of my family.
Oh,
That's just never.
did you do it?
Well, my first day in school in the US and my first class was all girls. The teacher, the students. I'm walking in and they go, ah, like the ah. And I'm like, oh, they're yelling at me. I'm in the wrong class. I'm walking
That's
out. The
right. Oh
teacher's
my
right
God.
behind me. And they're trying to get me back into the class. I'm trying to explain to them that I'm a boy and they think that I'm a girl. And that was a whole ordeal.
Only half wrong.
Well, that's a funny story for you if you wanted the story.
That's a good story. That's incredible. So that hat is called what again? How do you pronounce it?
Kawuk. It's
A kauk.
made for turbans for people
Yeah,
in Mecca.
who wear wraps.
Yeah, that's why
Right.
it's
Okay.
pointed out because once you wrap the turban, if you have a flat hat, you wouldn't see the hat. But if it's
Ra-
tangled up,
Ra- I don't know if you saw in the chat, Rahma bint Dawood, she is laughing her ass off at your story. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. So
uh,
Joan Voorhees says she wants to see your cats. I didn't know you had cats. عندك
I
قطة؟
had عندي اتنين.
اثنين. والله. أنا
One is
كلام.
mine and one is my partner's.
Yeah. Stunker cup. So,
But
well, that's amazing. That is a great story. No, they are not giving you cats. If the cats wander into the shot, that's one thing. All right. That's my rule on my dogs. My dogs
I
do not
actually
come
purposely keep my
onto the
cat
show.
outside of the recording room because he'll come in here and he'll come knocking everything because
Yeah,
he
they
wants
do.
attention.
They're cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and he looks at me so sad when I close the door. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm
But
laughing. It's still crying. It's so funny. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, that being said, we are nearing 1,000 followers, which means we don't have to repeat ourselves when we start the show. I know that we've been at this. Oh, we're on time. 9 minutes. We usually take
Mhm.
this happy banter. This is how, by the way, all intelligence briefings start, right? It always starts with us standing around, funny stories, talking about our cats, our wives, our spouses, and other crazy things that are going out. We are 9 people from start of show. And no, Andrea Cushman, you will not be seeing our animals. Look at them. They're all demanding to see our animals. Uh, anyway, no, we have not missed, you have not missed any discussions on Israel moving into our military. That is a special
Mm.
show. By the way, Waji, if you would like to have that show on Sunday, I'm game to do that. That is about the what is it? The National Defense Authorization that does this merger at the tech level of the
Sure.
Israeli and U.S. military. We need to do a show on that, and people are asking
I
us that.
have. I'm actually. Then I would be interviewing you, and then I have then two episodes on Sunday. You and Deborah Amos.
Deborah Amos, I love Deborah.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
my friend.
Mhm. Oh, halas, you have plenty of friends. All right, we have hit
No,
the
I've known her
1,000.
since Jamal Khashoggi's execution.
Of course you have. Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, what a story. All right. We will go ahead and start now. We've reached our 1,000 person mark. We won't lose most of our followers or have to repeat everything. We will have that discussion about Section 119 of the National Defense Authorization Act. We need to have that discussion. So, that being said, Waja, I want to wish you happy K Day because today is the day of Imam. Oh, did I say Imam? Yes, Imam Ayatollah Ali Al Khamenei. Today is
Funeral.
his funeral day, even though, in fact, according to Islamic custom, his his 89-year-old ass was in the ground within 24 hours. What we are having now is the National Memorial Funeral Ceremony. So, is that correct? You said it a few hours ago. You put out a Substack saying that you put out a Substack comment that you were monitoring the funeral. Hit us with the
Yes.
K Day events.
Uh, the funeral has had delegations from different countries, including Qatar, Pakistan, India, Tajikistan. Uh, who else? Russia, China, Turkey, Iraq, Bosnia, Hungary, Bangladesh, and many other countries all showed up to pay their respect for the previous supreme leader. Even though that Qatar was attacked, they still showed up. They are a main negotiator, and they do show up for these things. They have. They are. I think if you would look at Qatar and you would label them, I would label them as professional diplomats and negotiators in their own best interests, mostly.
Mhm.
But then you have had the processions also include his granddaughter that was also killed in that attack. And I've seen the boxes where they're supposed to hold the body of the supreme leader and the body that's supposed to hold his daughter. The reason that we suspect that the supreme leader would have been buried right away is because in Islamic Sharia,
Yeah,
as soon as you are buried, that means that God was blessing you more
right.
and you have less sins, and He eased your way into heaven because Muslims believe once you are buried, you face the angels that will either give you a heads up or ahead of time whether you're going to hell or heaven and open in your grave a door to hell or a door to heaven.
Mhm,
Um, so,
mhm.
so according to Islamic Sharia, if you're a shaheed, then you definitely want them to start experiencing heaven as soon as possible by
Immediately.
burying them.
Mhm.
So that's why we think that they have been already buried, and that's why we think these boxes might be empty or
Yeah,
weighted with something else just to
they're
show that
symbolic.
they. Yeah.
Yeah, my sister was a full scale Muslim, right? Lifelong. And her imam knew that, I was an operational Muslim is a way to put it. Uh, which I'm sorry, there's just places where if you don't go to mosque, they're going to call your ass out immediately. So, um, and he called me. He was like, "Your sister's passed. She had kidney problems. She was on dialysis for years and years and years and years." And he goes,
I'm so sorry.
she
One of
goes,
my
"Yeah.
good friends is very well.
Well, I had been arranging a trip to Hajj, a medical trip on Hajj for her, and and I was like, hey, I'll go on Hajj with you." And she was not much older than me, but older than me, and had been mobility problems. And they have these trips where a medical company will fly you to Mecca, right? Mecca International Airport, and they have these shuttles and everything out there, depending on how much money you want. I was like, I'll walk you around the Kaaba, right? And help you throw stones. But when she passed, my imam was like, "You're too late, bro." She goes, "Done. Done in the ground." I think it was I think she was buried within 6 hours.
So
And
technically, you would have landed in Jeddah, not Mecca. Mecca
Jeddah.
doesn't have an airport yet.
Okay. All right. But you get my drift is that
Yeah,
you are buried quickly. The limit, if I'm not mistaken, is 24 hours.
my
And it's not
condolences.
just your spiritual, well, this is a few years ago, but it's not just a spiritual reasoning. You have to understand that all of this was written in Western Saudi Arabia in the summer, 1,400 some odd years ago. So there is a how can I put it, a real reason to get you buried immediately, right?
Yeah.
Also, they had things out there we didn't have to worry with. Jackals was the
Hmm.
thing. I mean, Saudi Arabia's had lions, for Christ's sakes. And so they wanted to bury you deep, bury you quickly. So what we're seeing in this funeral of Ali Khamenei is without 100%. He's been dead for 126 to 128
Dafn
days. So
Jathman
yeah,
Khamenei.
why just reading the rules right now from the Quran? So anyway, or getting the answer from the Quran. Quran, are you calling Quran.com? They have that where you
No,
can
I
ask
want to
questions.
see what is the Iranian official statement on whether they buried his body ahead of time or not. Just
Okay.
curious.
So right now there is a giant procession. I take it in Tehran, and they are burying him. Did you say they were burying other people at the same time or symbolizing
His
the burial of
granddaughter. So
his
they
granddaughter,
said
which is Mujtaba al Khamenei's daughter, who was
that's right.
killed in the strike, plus his daughter in law, which is Mujtaba al Khamenei's wife, who was killed in the strike. Widower here, I wouldn't be of sound mind if my wife were destroyed in a strike like that. I'd be letting the IRGC loose at levels you couldn't possibly imagine. But that's just me. So what else can you tell us about it? Can they get cremated?
Uh,
No.
no. They will also be taking the body to Karbala in Iraq. So the procession will be for seven
Oh, they're going
days.
to go to Karbala.
Yes, they're taking
That's
him.
probably already happened secretly. That's probably
Um,
already happened secretly. I've been to both.
they are
The,
claiming that the body hasn't been buried. لم يتم دفن جثمان المرشد الإيراني علي خامنئي. So he, as soon as he was killed, he was not buried. But according to the Iranian government, they froze him or something during this war for security purposes, and they plan
wow,
to uh,
wow.
bury him on the 9th.
And where's he going to be buried in Qum?
I think he was going. No, I think he's going to be buried next to Al Hussein in the same area, not in the same mosque, but
It won't be in the same mosque. I've been in that mosque.
no.
It's pretty tight in there, and you guys wouldn't believe it. You know what? I don't have the photos. Um, I have photos from inside there, and it is nothing. It's silver. Interesting. So there's two colors that
Means
you will absorb when you go inside the shrine of Hussein and the shrine of Caliph Ali. Two colors come out, and you would think, oh, it's going to be gold everywhere. Pure silver everywhere, and
mhm.
green, just which is the color of Islam, color uh, of 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 Shia Islam as well. And that's all you see. And it's like going into Liberace's palace of solid silver everything. So I just find this absolutely fascinating. I would like to know more details. We should do like a special
No, he
show.
will be buried in Iran, is according to CNN Arabic.
He's got to be buried in Qum, which is the holy city in Iran, where all of the religious
الروضة
leaders live.
الرضوية المطهرة،
Hmm.
مرقد الإمام الرضا. One of the other imams was buried there.
Where are the 12 the 11 out of 12 imams buried? In Shia
Isn't
Islam.
it
I think
in?
it's all in Qum. I think everything's in Qum. Isn't that's also where the Ayatollah Khomeini is buried?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. We could go on about Shia burial customs
That
all
yeah,
day,
that's
but
okay.
this is very important cultural intelligence, and that's why we have this show. If you really want to, any idiot can go out and just read the news to you. But as I'm speaking to him, I'm remembering all the things that I did in both Karbala and Najaf. Najaf is where the huge cemetery is that all Shia Muslims want to be buried in. And
Understood.
interestingly enough, um, it was in the movie Three Kings, where the U.S. soldier is killed. They bring him to Iran, but the way that they depict it, to be buried in an honorable place, they actually depict that he was buried in Najaf. I have an incredible story about money, murder, revenge, and burial in Najaf that I won't say on this podcast. That would have to be a subscribers only. It's a true story. It's in my memoir. And it ends in Najaf Cemetery with a grave being sprayed over with blood. And if you're not buried up there, you ain't it. Everyone wants to be buried there, and it is massive. It has hundreds of thousands of tombs in there. I'm certain of it. But that being said, now watch, pay attention because
Yes.
I'm about to say something crazy. Now that we've gone through the honorifics of this thing, and we have determined that Mujtaba al Khamenei is not appearing live. Yesterday, we read that they said that he would appear remotely because of Israel's spies and murderers. Well,
Mm-hmm.
to make things worse, crazy now no longer. Let me rephrase that. I was about to say something naughty. Crazy spiritual advisor to Donald Trump, Laura Loomer, has thoughts about the funeral.
No,
Her thoughts
her
were
head hurts.
no, that woman's knee pads hurt for a very long time. But her main thoughts were about the funeral of Ali Khamenei, quote, a target rich environment, which, if the Israelis had struck, as you said, would have killed a lot of other people, including foreign dignitaries and and innocent civilians. Um, this is why I'm bringing this up. We've gone over the funeral component of it. Now the nutcases are starting to talk, but some of those nutcases aren't as crazy as we would like to have think. I can't remember the number of times we have said on this show that the Israelis have a completely separate, 100% different agenda with
Yes.
regards. Yeah, somebody goes, that bitch is nuts. You are absolutely correct. Head of the class, gold star for you. But that the Israelis have a completely different agenda with regard to foreign politics and geopolitics in the United States and Iran. Their policy is they are decoupled from the United States now with regards to Iran. Done, finish, fucking.
Yes, they have.
Right?
Exactly.
Netanyahu said it himself. I use these words ever since I was 20 years old. The Israelis look out for number one. Yesterday, Netanyahu said that. We are looking out for number one. And to make that clear, the New York Times has done some exceptional reporting that apparently they just followed Black Man Spy, wrote down everything we said, and then checked it against the Israelis and found out it's all true. Turns out that it's not a hard analysis. I shouldn't take credit for it because it was an easy one. But it turns out that the Israelis were hot to assassinate uh, Prime Minister Galibaf and Foreign Minister Agarachi of Israel, of Iran. Listen to me, of Israel. They were going to shoot them down, or they were going to locate their spot and assassinate them. These are the moderate, people who we can talk to that Donald Trump keeps talking about it. In fact, if you guys recall, numerous times we've shown you video of the Iranian airlines. It actually wasn't Iranian Airlines. I think it's Mirat Airlines, one of the few airplanes that the Americans and the Israelis left off the strike roster that were flying from Tehran to Pakistan or Pakistan to Tehran. And each time they were escorted by Pakistani aircraft, Air Force aircraft. And according to some of this reporting, the Israelis were hovering off of the Iran-Iraq border over Iraq and prepping to shoot that plane down. So this is something we had talked about numerous times, that the Israeli strategy of whatever it is they're going to do has nothing to do with the American strategy of cutting a deal. And guess what? That is still on the table. So that crazy Laura Loomer tweet that I just tweeted there, by the way, that woman has more power than anyone other than Benjamin Netanyahu and the Iranian negotiators. She has more personal influence for some bizarre, strange, I am not going to be one to say that it is a sexual influence because we all know she's been displaced now. But, like Bill Maher said, he got sued for it. I'm not going to say that. I will say this, okay? We have crazy people running our foreign policy. I mean, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? This is the kind of nuts that we have running things here.
You
And
know,
if she had said, Donald, I think you should kill them, he threatened their lives twice on air, saying that he should, if they don't, maybe we should kill the negotiators. Maybe we should get rid of them. I mean, it's just the crazy place that we are right now. Watch it. What do you have to
I
say?
don't know if you saw the article that came out yesterday.
From the New York Times, the
The
one I was just talking about
Yes,
for
the
5 minutes.
no. Did you see that they warned the Iranians?
That's the part I'm missing. Hit us. Tell us that part of the story. You're right.
Yeah, that I wanted to add to it. So because I think there's something I want like that's happening today that might be related to it.
What's
So
that?
the United States, during this whole peace talk that you're talking about, they
Mm.
found out that during the time that the Iranian foreign minister and the Speaker of the House were preparing to come to go to the negotiations. The United States found out that Israel was having a different idea. Absolutely. They
Pew, pew,
understood
pew,
that the
pew, pew.
Israelis wanted to take down their planes. So
Right.
the United States went out of their way, contacted their own allies, and informed the Iranians something they never do that
That's
listen,
right.
the Israelis are about to attack you. You need to do this and this and that to protect yourself so you can get to the negotiation. So now that and the reason the United States that is because the the Palestinian prime minister went to the United States President Trump and said, if Israel kills these two, we will not have anyone to talk to. So if you want to have anyone to talk to, you need to let these two live. So
Hmm.
they help them survive. So today, as world
And
leaders are coming, I'm looking at this and there's no way that the United States is not providing some sort of intelligence or some sort of tips for the Iranians to prevent some sort of kill attack like that because the Israelis are talking about it, Laura Loomer is talking about it, some people want it.
hmm I now, as you said that, I remember another component of that article was that the Iranians were flying back, and the Israelis started making that's when they made that move and started orbiting around the the Iraqi Iranian border. And they thought that was an ambush, and they prematurely landed in Mashhad and then took vehicles all the way back to Tehran from there. I mean, this is just seriously screwy. And Mark Schroeder has a good comment here that I think we should all pay heed to. He goes, I'm reading about Picot Sykes and how that's the people who came up with the Sykes Picot agreement and how they fucked up the Middle East. This goes all the way back to 1915, 16. So
Yeah.
let's blame everything on the Brits and the French. And let's not forget Balfour. No bad deed goes unpunished. I'm sorry to say, who else was part of that negotiations was T.E. Lawrence, right? And they gave everything to King Abdullah. Who, by the way, who prior to that was Abdullah, right? Tribal sheikh that T.E. Lawrence raised up there. And if you watch Lawrence of Arabia, hold on, who played Abdullah? Wasn't it Omar Sharif?
King Abdullah was played in
Lawrence of
Lawrence of
Arabia,
Arabia.
of the original Abdullah ibn Saud. Hold on, hold on. Let's look this up. This is important intelligence. You all need to know. Lawrence of Arabia, Omar Sharif, because that's going to be your homework assignment. Is to no, he was another guy, Sharif Ali, right? But the
Sharif
person who
Ali
came
was the people that were the original kings of the Hijaz region.
right. Well, Sharif Ali,
No,
wallahi, hold on. First off,
Sharif Ali.
interesting choice, right? Omar Sharif was Egyptian, wasn't he? Um, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he was. That they couldn't get a Saudi for that job. Anyway, he's right. Sykes-Picot,
Yeah, former king of
Balfour,
Hijaz. I was right.
former king of the Hijaz. What was his job afterwards?
Well,
Who
he ga-
became
he
who
gave his
became the king
son
of Jordan?
the kingdom of Iraq. He gave his other son the kingdom of Jordan. He wanted to take more,
Abdullah.
but the Brits took, yeah, Abdullah and Faisal.
Okay, Faisal. Okay, Abdullah and Faisal. Okay, now we've got it. Now we're back onto our current historical track. Very important. Okay, let's continue on with the news that we have. Just now, you wrote an interesting article today that I want to talk about a little bit. You talked about how it was not only the funeral that was going to be happening today, but it's the 38th anniversary of an incident that Malcolm was neck deep in, which was the shoot down of Iran Air 655 Bandar Abbas to Dubai by the USS Vincennes. Wajeeh, I have an entire chapter of my memoir, 10,000 words about that incident and how it happened from minute to minute. And I am just shocked. NSA, the Navy, everybody cleared all of it. What we were saying in our super secret spaces, the kind of intelligence that we were collecting, how we figured out it was a civil airliner and not a fighter jet, like the USS Vincennes said. I even had Farsi linguists on the USS Vincennes that had to secretly call us the command ship, Commander Middle East Force, and tell us that the ship ordered them not to call us and say anything about their warnings that it was a civil airliner. I shit you not, buddy. That was amazing. I remember that call getting it. We have these phones, they're all red. It's secure telephone, ship to ship, right?
Mhm.
Secure satellite link telephone. And that guy came on, he didn't use any of the formalities, right? He just said, I'm blah, blah, blah. Petty officer, blah, blah. This is petty officer, blah, blah, blah. We have orders not to speak to you. Here's what we think. The Farsi linguists are dot 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 dot. We think it's a civil air. He didn't say it was a civil airline. All we know is it's not an F-14, and I knew it wasn't an F-14 because I had a British warship at the literally 12 miles out from the end of Bandar Abbas runway, looking at Bandar Abbas with their eyes, and they were like, "No." And I remember the moment he said this, HMS Beaver, right? Came up and they were like, "No, this is Beaver. We have no aircraft taking off. We've had one civil airliner which departed 30 minutes ago." And I was like, "We are so fucked. We are fucked." I went
Oh
right to
my
my
god.
commander, who was the chief of cryptologic intelligence, who works as the deputy of she's deputy chief of intelligence on there. And I was like, "We need to go to the admiral." And he was like, "Whoa, simmer down, buckwheat." And I was like, "We shot down a civil airliner. Everything spells out civil airliner. It was a civil airliner, Iran Air 655." And we were like, few minutes later, I spelled it all out. I showed him the logs. By the way, people, the way to keep yourself out of trouble in life is to make sure you write down all the evidence of what's going on around you when crazy people are talking shit, right? And I had a running log of every word said in that room and all communications with our ships. I ain't stupid. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Uh, it says who was on the plane they wanted to take down? Nobody. It was just an accident. That ship was so. I was on the USS Vincennes. We had shot down an F-4 Phantom, and not the Vincennes. Oh my God, I was never on the Vincennes. I was on the USS Wainwright. We shot down an F-4 Phantom at 57 nautical miles. The Vincennes, when they came in, they were like double jealous of that, and they were like, "Well, we can do better than that." And I was like, "These guys are ready to shoot whatever." And they did. First opportunity, they claimed it was an F-14. It was a civil airliner with 290 passengers, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Yes,
Men,
that's
women,
right.
and children. And they were en route, standard operating flight from Bandar Abbas Airport to Dubai Airport, scheduled every time during the same time of day. And this is what happens when a ship comes in and they don't know anything about the schedule. They don't know anything about the airlines or the communications there, and they don't listen to you to the point where the Farsi linguists, these are, you know, guys who speak Farsi, you know what they do. I ain't going to tell you. But they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, there's no fighter jets up here. What are you talking about?" You know, that story has been cleared in my memoir. And I got to tell you, I am shocked that I think they blocked 5 code words. That's it.
Are
And the
you
rest of
allowed
the
to talk
story they
about
left it to. Yeah,
are you allowed
it's
to
been
talk about why they weren't allowed to talk to you guys?
yes, because the ship's cryptologic crew there. I spelled this all out. There was an inquiry about this, and it was funny. They didn't want to talk to me, but they wanted to talk to my lieutenant. And I gave them all the logbooks. And those logbooks had every word, and they were like, "Oh, okay." The ship knew they had screwed up or were screwing up. And our people on board who knew that that was not a fighter jet were going, "That's not a fighter jet. That's not a fighter jet." But that ship, Peanut XS is right. That flight is short. It's 42 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. You take off, you start landing. And that guy, they were going, "That's not a fighter jet." And ship's company's like, "Fuck you. Yes, it is. We've got electronic warfare indications, right?" They said they had the AUG-9 radar from the USS Vincennes. And my guys, we don't have a radar detector. We got the motherfuckers telling us, right? We're going to believe the Iranian pilots or your screwed up third class petty officer electronic warfare guy who has never been in the Persian Gulf. And then they just like, don't tell the command ship, started a cover up immediately, right? Holy shit, that was a crazy ass day. And I was in charge of all cryptologic units in the Persian Gulf. And I knew shit was going to happen, right? Because that
Yeah.
captain, when we had the in-chop brief, that's the brief where you bring the guys in, you sit them down, you tell them what the intelligence environment is. And I did our cryptologic officer gave them the big, I'm an officer brief, and I gave the crew, the debt, their actual brief of how things occur, what frequency they occur, where they come from, what are they doing, blah blah blah. Literally, what the books, call signs, all that sort of stuff. And these guys were like, "Yeah, fuck you, we're gonna shoot down something." Actually, the captain said, "It flies, it dies. That's our motto." Hard on to do it. Hard on
Someone
to
was
kill
asking if
people.
we ever apologized for that incident. The United States never officially
Not
apologized.
officially, but we did pay money.
They have legally settled a $61.8 million settlement for the victim. There was 66 children on board and 290 civilians.
Yeah, I got to tell you something that's absolutely crazy. Okay. When the pictures started coming out, we started getting a lot of intelligence because we're in Bahrain, right? Up against the pier. Oh, here's the craziest part. They immediately we locked down our ship, locked it down. No one could leave the ship for ready 6 weeks. We couldn't get off that ship. We're at the pier. All right. We're on the long side. They wanted to lock that story down like nobody's business. And let me tell you, those logs saved my career, saved my division officer's career, saved the intelligence department's career. Because we were like, hey, we have loads of evidence that you just went off and did whatever it is you wanted to do. But when the intelligence started coming out, we started getting reconnaissance flights and they were taking pictures of the bodies in the water. And if you guys go on and you Google, Iran Air 655 bodies, you'll see corpses floating in the water, including children's corpses. And here's what we started getting back from Washington. Well, how do we know that they didn't get? Is there any evidence that they loaded dead bodies onto the airplane? And let us shoot it down. It was like, the fuck? Yeah, somebody wrote it earlier. The fuck? People, we give you this intelligence, right? We're briefing you the way it is because it is what it is. You cannot change the reality. A civil airliner taking off every day is not going to be filled with frozen corpses. That's going to do what? What if we didn't shoot it down? Land in Dubai, right? Dubai Flight Services comes in with vacuum cleaners and vacuums around 290 frozen corpses. These people, when we started getting that shit, we pushed back hard, right? And we were like, you shot the plane down, fucking come out and confess it. The evidence is neck deep. Nope. A lot of people in the States, and this is where American exceptionalism is a little sucky. All right. We're not exceptional, right? We're good at some things, but when we do this whole we're better than you thing and you kill civilians, own up to it. It shouldn't have been $66 million, should have been $290 million, right? Anyway, that was absolutely bullshit. And then an Iranian refugee in the United States, as you know, we had millions of Iranians come to the United States, tried to kill Captain What's His Fuck from the Vincennes, put a small, sticky bomb under his car in La Jolla, California. And Captain Rogers, that was his name. Anyway, that happening on this day, don't tell me for 1 minute, Wajeeh. The Iranians said, we're going to have that funeral in Iran Air 655 Day.
Yeah.
They held it. They held them for all this time for Iran Air 655 Day to remind them. And if you
Well,
remember
did you
those,
see when the world delegations, when they arrived at the airport in Iran, there was a memorial for the 90 plus children that were killed by the U.S. Israeli
Mhm.
attack on Iran. So no, they're definitely
Yeah.
very particular about how they're pushing this image. If you see the lighting on the funeral in the back, you'll see red light. That red light represent blood.
Hmm.
It's not just because they're trying to be cute. That there's a reason why that particular color is there.
Hmm. Well, Yeah, I can dig that. So, by the way, we went into this in depth because this incident plus the funeral today has enormous significance to the Iranians and the Minab school bombing. And I've already given you your homework before. I mean, I think that bombing is terrible. There's a movie, a Danish movie about, I talked about this before, a Danish movie you can watch on Netflix called The Bombardment. And it's about an accidental bombing of a French school in Copenhagen, where rich people sent their children, Catholic French school, at the end of World War II, and they were trying to bomb the Gestapo headquarters to kill the resistance fighters who asked for that place to be bombed so that they wouldn't be tortured and interrogated. But a plane crashed at the girls' school and near the girls' school, and all of the other bombers bombed the girls' school. It wasn't girls' school; it was a mixed school, the French school. And that film harnesses. I saw that film the week after the Minyab bombing, and I thought, oh my God, this is how the parents reacted, screaming, running at the top of their lungs to get to a burning building, right? Where all those kids are burned. And that we don't have a nation of honor to say, hey, that was a terrible accident and we will pay restitution. We did not mean to do that. It was a horrible accident and we're sorry for that incident. All the rest of you guys have fought us. Yeah, we're not sorry for you, but that one, we're sorry. That's how we should do it. That's how a nation ought. If I were Secretary of Defense, I would have walked into the White House and I was like, hey, Lazar missile, here's the engine with all the engine part numbers, right? And don't tell me it wasn't, right? They were all there in one giant hole. And this is like the people who denied Iran Air 655. Oh, they found those parts in other places and bought them. It's like, dude, there's a video hitting that thing. And your missile lost all data the precise second it hit that building. So we know all about that. We're not people of honor anymore. We're a nation run by a criminal cartel that has no honor, that has a guy like Pete Hegseth, idiot, running things. All right, let's skip off from that. I want to get on to the Strait of Hormuz and then Israel and Lebanon. Um, Strait of Hormuz, the fee structure is going to become official. The Omanis have agreed to it. So, environment fee, maintenance fees, not dragging an anchor over your data line fees, that is now going to become official. But turns out Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner went to the Iranians and begged them not to institute the fee structure. And this is interesting reporting from Axios. As part of the begging, they said, listen, we will get you an immediate $6 billion release of your own sanctioned funds, right? So
First of
we
all,
tried to
that's my
buy
own
them.
$6 billion. Second of all, I'm making $80 billion a year, motherfucker. What are
That's what
you
the
talking
Iranians said.
about?
Yeah, that's right. It's like, bitch, you gonna give me my money anyway, right? Get get up. What they say? Wait, they the last thing they said to Wickoff is, you know, get up, take a shower, give me my money, and go away. All right. So Witkoff and Kushner tried to bribe them with their access to their own money and said, listen, you're going to make so much more money over the top. This is literally what they said. You're going to make so much more money in the restitution and the freeing of your funds. The money that you're going to make off of these fees is minuscule compared to the $300 billion. Just say that you're not going to do it, open the Strait of Hormuz, and you'll get that money. Now you know how fucking Trump knows how to does negotiations. Position of
The art of the deal.
absolute weakness. Absolute weakness. And it's just really fucking bribes. I have been
It's
in
the
this
art of the
region for
begging now.
40 years. 40 years. and this is how they do it amongst each other. But once you cut that deal, you know what's going to happen, Waja. What would happen is a recording of you making that deal is going to fall in front of Al Jazeera,
Yeah.
a tape recording
No,
of
they can't. The Iranians can't accept a deal like that. They would be
it. They
humiliated in
won't.
front of their own
They
people.
still might drop that tape recording. Right? But this is what's going on. I can't believe the utter incompetence. Utter incompetence. Yeah, yeah. You know, who just said that? Somebody said gangster mindset, right? Lives by the lake says gangster mentality. It's just absolutely disgusting. So the Iranians turned down that offer, right? With that $6 billion of immediate cash if you raise the state of Hormuz. Analysis. All right. I'll give my analysis. You can give yours. Another sign of the absolute, utter desperation Trump has to open the Strait of Hormuz. He is getting really desperate. He's throwing multi-billion-dollar bribes now of their own money. What do you say, bro?
I think that even though he's very desperate, he's sending the wrong people to do the negotiating on his behalf. The people he's sending don't know how to use leverage, don't know how to talk to the Iranians, don't know what actually the Iranians would react to. They're going
Hmm.
in blindsided. It's like when like it's like giving a child a knife and telling them during Hajj, okay, you gotta go slaughter that sheep, cut it apart, skin it, and the child is just looking at you sideways, like, Okay, I'm gonna go try it," and butcher the whole thing up. That's exactly what
Hmm.
happened. So, like, these guys are going in for a surgical operation, and they're just butchering this patient, and that patient is the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation. We can solve this if we send the right people that know exactly what the Iranians need and want and would listen to. The fact of the matter is, when you come to someone and you tell them, "Oh, this is your cup. I'm gonna give it to you. Just open the Strait of Hormuz," and they're like,
It's just
if
my
I took
cup.
the Strait of Hormuz, I have my own manufacturer.
Yeah. You're going to give me that cup anyway. Right? You're going to give me that cup anyway. When you start hitting tank bottom, you call me and you can start saying, Mr. Malcolm, we will gild that cup for you. We will give you gold
Mhm.
cup, same cup, just dipped in gold. Oh, my God. Okay, moving on. Strait of Hormuz is operating at 90% below its pre-war activities. 90%. Very large crude carriers, only 4 to 6 are entering the Strait of Hormuz per day. Now we're at the part where we need to get VLCCs into the Strait of Hormuz because the ones that are there are starting to come out. Most are coming out through the Iranian traffic separation scheme, but we are still 90% below pre-war levels. Next, Israel, Iran. We talked about that. Them attempting to strike the Iranians. Defense Minister Katz referred to. We will continue to conduct blue-white operations against Iran. That means Israel only operations against Iran. In further news, Lebanon. Israel struck 10 targets yesterday after. I got to wait before I go on. I know I interrupt myself a lot, but this is important to know. Do you remember how I keep saying, Waja, that during the war in 1983, when I was there, during a ceasefire, a sleepy Syrian soldier would fall asleep. He would fall asleep, the rifle would shoot, and then it would unleash 24 hours of artillery bombardment over, 100 guns, artillery guns would be firing for 24 hours. That's how the Israelis do business. Well, yesterday, a single Hezbollah soldier carried out, or Hezbollah terrorist carried out an operation which wounded one IDF soldier on the line of confrontation. Israel carried out 10 major airstrikes all over Lebanon. Command and control bunkers, ammunition storage depots, suspected strongholds. They hit around the city of Sadiqim near Tyre as well. So there you go. One ambush, which the Israelis could have absorbed, decided they were going to, impact it. Remember how I said they do not care about the U.S. Iran negotiations? They don't care. They are decoupled now. That being said, interesting news. Remember how I recall yesterday the United States said they were going to start working with the Lebanese army, the Israeli army, in joint operations in southern Lebanon, which is going to be, girl, hold all your horses when that happens. I will be doing a written Substack, and we'll probably have a special subscribers only Substack to talk about that and what that would look like. But now we had heard this before. France and Italy were interested in coming in to provide a multinational force component. By the way, same people that came in 1983. France, Italy, United States, Lebanon. I have a copper plate of the Beirut MNF forces. I have an MNF t-shirts. I should wear that tomorrow. Still from 1983. I've worn it 2 or 3 times. But apparently we're creating a multinational force, and or Italy and France want in on it. They say they will only do operations with the Lebanese army. So they're going to be reinforcing them, and they will not be doing any de-arming of Hezbollah. So that is the news for today. Wajeeh, anything you'd like to say about that?
The Israelis have said it that they have decoupled from the United States. If you read between the words, the United States is almost giving up with being able to control the Israelis. Ben Gavir was walking around yesterday threatening to demolish a whole bunch of houses and stuff. A day
Yeah.
before that, Netanyahu was in southern Lebanon, actually surveilling the occupied territory that Israel has taken over Lebanon. Uh, all their actions show that this is nowhere near over. They are being pressured by the far right in Israel for not going hard enough, for not having a decisive win. And the fact
Hmm.
that Trump has his own midterm and they have their own election just tells you how they have a prisoner's dilemma where
Right.
they both would essentially would benefit from cooperating, but they would both benefit way more for their own personal interests if they keep going through this war. Trump
Right.
wants but basically Netanyahu would benefit a lot from continuing this war, and Trump would benefit a lot from ending the war. So you're
Mhm.
having these two polar opposite that's just not going to come to a middle solution anytime soon.
Yeah. I can dig it. All right, let's go to questions. To go to questions, I will be blanked out, and because I have to go to the chat, which is here under my "Who's it for the What's it." Actually, I could do it on my phone, but I'm being exceptionally lazy. Here we are on day 128. Someone's trying to discredit me. Awesome, but who's Major Watson? I have no idea. Uh, let's see. Uh, bu- 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 oh, somebody, if you guys haven't seen it, I did Steve Beschloss's podcast called Six Questions the other day. And I really enjoyed that. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. Okay. There's some news I can share with you. If you guys go in the chat, Macmillan or St. Martin's Press, which is my publisher, give me a moment to come back on here. Um, St. Martin's has released the official cover of my memoir.
Oh, nice.
It's going to have a modification to it because the
Congrats.
subtitle is going to change, but it's someone just put it up in the chat under the catalog. So you can go see what the cover of Stinker Sailor Black Man Spy looks like. And I will give you all an interesting little clue. Behind me, it's very hard to see on behind the photograph. There are a block of continuous 5-digit codes. All right. You need to see if you can decrypt the code. And in fact, on the sleeve of the book, we will give two words that will allow you, it's a double substitution cipher, will allow you to decrypt the words that are behind me on the cover of the book. So for all you code breaker puzzle people, so I'm going to stay up here. I'm going to go on the phone and answer some of those questions. But wow, you guys are sharp. I have kept that cover a secret for some time now, and the subtitle will change. I hope to have Montel Williams will be doing the forward to the book, so it will be with Montel Williams at the bottom of that. So let me see if we have any questions. Okay. Yes, here we are on day 152. A lot of comments. Somebody said Laura Loomer has inflation device lips.
Oh my
She's a
god.
weirdo. What a weirdo. Somebody says, is full scale war about to happen again as the U.S. has troops vessels moving to the SOH? Do you think other countries would join? That's from Michelle. No, it is not
Mm.
going to happen again. I'm dead thinking. Somebody said, what? This is why Rachel Maddow let Malcolm go? Rachel Maddow never let anything here. Oh, there's some guy. I always get these characters. I want to address this. Okay. Um, you always get these weirdos who will come onto your thing and they will, Waji, you know how this is, right? When you're a foreigner or you're a person of color or you're a woman, you invariably get somebody who just can't stand the idea that you did anything ever, right?
Someone called you the N word on my channel yesterday. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, I have it too. And you have this one guy who says, when Malcolm says he was a black man spy, when I know for a fact as an intelligence officer that everyone who worked at NSA, CIA, NSA, or the NRO, or where the Air Force intelligence, you had a bachelor's degree to become an intelligence officer. And I don't think Malcolm ever had a degree or was an officer of any flavor. This is where you get these right wing MAGA guys come up on here. If you guys go in the chat, you can see that guy's comment. Go leave some interesting responses. Um, I've never said ever, ever, ever that I was a commissioned officer in the U.S. intelligence community. I've never. Everybody knows right at the top. I am a very proud Navy senior chief. I love being a goddamn senior chief. I come from a house of chiefs. I love being a chief. Everything I have has SCPO on it. So you get these guys. First off, you don't need a bachelor's degree to be in intelligence. That's absolutely stupid. Absolutely crazy. So we have these guys. You have the disc crew. By the way, I've mentioned this also. There is actually a group that calls them the Get Malcolm Nance Working Group of right wing
Oh my
MAGA
god.
guys and pro Russia guys that go through everything I write and everything I say to catch him. Because, I actually put this out once. The thing that they have the most problem with is I was spying while black. And they were literally said code breaking, foreign language cryptology, signals intelligence, all of this stuff. That's not spying. In,
I
in
thought
order to
American blacks
just
fight since George Washington.
yeah, there have been, okay? I mean, James Lafayette Armistead, but he was a penetration agent, right? But it's just crazy with a capital K how some people will go out to disgrace themselves or lie pathologically to to just get a shot. I found this out that women have the same problem, right? Women can't do anything, right? It's for dudes with planes and guns, right? And I've literally had people tell me, you are not part of the US intelligence community. You never were. That would be like saying to, I don't know, Alan Turing that he was just a German linguist, right? Code breaking left and right, all that stuff. I find it very funny. So there apparently is a fight in the chat about that. You guys believe what you want, all right? I'm my own man. I'm 64-year-old man, right?
You know,
I got rooms full of swag. And if Black Man Spy or the Black Man Spy podcast will teach you anything, one thing I learned early on in my little spooky spook career is because guys like you, I bought a camera everywhere. everywhere. And I got guys out there like, you never went nowhere. It's like, here's a picture of it. I got a picture of me at bin Laden's house. Do you? All right. I got his Quran stand in my house. I got, and it just all sorts of craziness. But one of the discussions that we had in a spy museum discussion group that we informally called, it was you can see it. It's U.S. It's African Americans in U.S. intelligence discussion. We informally called it Black Spies Matter. And we had an FBI counterintelligence officer, a CIA analyst, a CIA clandestine service officer, and I was military representing military intelligence. And overwhelmingly, the FBI and the military person, me, had the worst thing. CIA is actually a very professional organization, but they're gutting it, right? Getting rid of every black person, every brown person,
Hmm.
getting rid of any competent women. So there's this world out there where people believes that intelligence, espionage, whatever the words you want to call it, and espionage is not a very loaded word that it is. These people watch James Bond and they think that shit's real. Whereas we try to
Actually,
educate you here that it's not.
some of
The
the
way we're discussing.
spies
Hmm?
the US has ever had look like the most ordinary people you could ever find.
Dull as
Women,
dishwater.
obese, people of color, these
My
ordinary people that you would never think twice that this could be a spy. That is exactly what the CIA is looking for in their spies.
because people use the word spy wrong. They have a belief that what you see in social media, what you see in James Bond, what you see in television and you read in fiction, that spies are assassins. No, assassins are assassins. Okay, they're
Yeah.
not spies. All right. Their shit is, I mean, most assassins are just straight up guys who walk into a room and gun down a target. But these guys have this image. And one of the things that I found from the Get Malcolm Nance working group is they cannot stand the idea I was involved in anything. So when I tell you this story about Iran Air 655, I got minute to minute evidence of that. There was an entire inquiry done about that. I got recordings of stuff and photos, and it happened. I got medals, right? Some operations were so bad, like that one, we didn't get any medals, right? Nobody got medals. Some were so awesome, in the pre-war on terrorism world where everybody gets a medal for going to the bathroom now. Um, we got we got recognition. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I get these people who come on there all the time, and I'm my own man. I don't care anymore. My dad, I'm rebuilding my dad's shadow box from World War II. My dad served 2 years from age 15 to 17, right? In the Pacific War. You know how many medals my dad got? And one of them was good conduct, right? World War II victory, Pacific Theater of Operations, and the occupation of Japan medal. That's it. And then he got the good conduct medal. That was for World War II. You see them guys coming out with just 6, 7 medals. Yeah, one might be the Bronze Star, one might be the Silver Star. They weren't handing that shit out like candy. There's going to be an entire world of Operation what is this? Whatever freedom. Epic Fury. There's going to be like 8 medals for Epic Fury. For doing what? Doing your fucking day job. Only you did it over Iran. A lot of people, there's valor medals. There was valor is shown, but this isn't the kind of mission I would wear an Epic Fury ribbon with great pride, right? It's sort of like Iraqi freedom. It's just something you just thought up and did and said, we're all getting medals. So that being said, so there's one guy. So, but oh, and this guy actually subscribed. All right, good. Michael Cairns came on there and made that comment, and he paid me for it. I appreciate you paying it. He's probably one of those guys that does a subscription and then goes to their bank and says that it was a fraudulent charge. Do you get those, Waj? I get those every once in a while. They charge backs. And it's like, why do you even want to come on here if you got a payment problem? Which reminds me, one of you has a double payment problem. I need you to DM me. And I will get that back to you. And get that so that you just have one payment. So, then he comes back and he says, "This is why Rachel Maddow let Malcolm go." Rachel Maddow didn't let me go. I am famous. I get these guys who are like, they kicked you out of the Ukraine, they kicked you off of MSNBC. I literally quit on television. I was in uniform with a weapon and said that I had joined the Ukrainian army. I don't get it. All right. Y'all don't like black men. You don't like spies who are black men. All right. Bye. Take care. But I'm going to make sure that that chargeback gets defeated with your own words. You know? Yeah, he's on there all day. Malcolm Nance was enlisted, not an officer. Yeah, because that's what a senior chief petty officer is. It's at the top of my bio. All right. So we get these dickwads come on there every once in a while. And their whole thing is black people should. We actually had this joke spying while black. Right? You can't do that. You can't be military and while black and spying while black. You got to sit. Some guy that got kicked out of the Navy War College for sending dick pics to a CIA officer is one of the people that perpetuates this story all the time. And here's my favorite part of the story, right? This guy got kicked out of the Navy War College as a professor, and he had been at NSA and just boom, out, no career. Now he sits around a hot tub drinking beer or whatever. And this guy is constantly perpetuating this thing. And I go, can you read? It's in the bio right at the top. Proud senior chief petty officer. But that's the way people are, folks. Let's go to real questions, and we don't have to dickwads. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, he's mad because he said Rachel Maddow asked him numerous times. Asked him what? Questions? I've been on Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow recruited me to come to MSNBC because I knew my shit. So that's all
I
there
think
is.
she's cool.
So she's very cool. We're friends. I have a new problem. So, Malcolm, you absolutely rocked it yesterday on the Steve Beschloss podcast. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm so proud of you. You should be president. I appreciate that. That's the good comment. So here it is. If you haven't seen it, this is the official release of the cover of Thinker, Sailor, Black Man, Spy. You can't see it clearly on my camera, but there is a code embedded behind me in that image. That photo drives people crazy, the Malcolm haters. It drives the Malcolm haters crazy because I am sporting a Beretta Model 92F pistol with a silencer. And they're like, one guy, you were never authorized to have a silencer. There is a whole chapter about how we got that pistol. It's a fucking good ass chapter. That's in Baghdad. And when I got that pistol in my possession, I was like, that's my gun. That's my gun.
You
In
still
fact,
have that guy?
hells no, I turned that shit into the Iraqi army. No, I gave it to my chief of bodyguards. But it has a home built suppressor. I'll tell you right now, it was a Saddam Fedayeen assassination pistol, and it came into my possession. And Saddam Fedayeen was Saddam's
Did
commandos.
not keep it.
I couldn't get it out of the country, but that pistol became the Saddam Fedayeen became the Jaish al-Sunnah, right? The army of
Yeah.
the Sunnah. They became Al Qaeda's management group, and they carried out 85% of all terrorist attacks in Lebanon. If you go see my book, The Terrorists of Iraq, it's about how the Saddam Fedayeen transitioned into a terrorist group. Excellent. But yeah, that's the cover of my book, available in stores everywhere next January. And but there's a whole group of people that they're like, you were a spy? Well, I've got 111,000 words of spying that the intelligence community has cleared. So there you have it. Let's go to some positive questions. Do you see any questions? I got a lot of these things. But this guy says he's a
Let me
retired
pull up
SEER
your chat.
instructor. Well, that means you were a pussy because you were at the Care Bear SEER School. Air Force SEER School was so lame. The instructors and the students ate lunch together. Our school, you didn't even know we existed till we descended down on top of you and started beating and slapping you. So, and that gave us capture shock to our students. Anyway, and I like the way he paid for me, right? So you're right. Pay no attention to troll. At some point, Israel will feel betrayed. This is from Max. Israel will feel betrayed by the U.S., warning about assassination plans to the extent where they intentionally sabotage the MOU to the point of no return. I think they don't care anymore. I think when he made that threat
Hmm.
against Netanyahu in his career, it was like, oh, decouple, right? Decouple. We are no longer part of the American game. What do you think?
Yeah, it was game over. By the end of the day, uh, each of them has their own political agenda. Each of them has their own political survival. Trump is trying to survive his MAGA cult being upset that he hasn't fulfilled his promises, and the far right in Israel are pissed up they haven't expanded the country somehow. So I mean, this is the reality of the political situation. It's not going to meet somewhere in the middle anytime soon.
Yeah. There's a bunch of questions here about Major Watson. This is the U.S. Air Force officer, stood on the steps of the Lincoln
Hmm.
Memorial and resigned his commission. He resigned his commission by being arrested, right? He's going to go through the full military processing and probably court martial him because he did insult the president of the United States. There's a lot of questions about, do you know about this? What do you think about this? It's not part of the show, but I'll talk about it. I do not encourage people to do this. I encourage people to stay within the system and do it. But if he felt the moral compunction that he could not serve honorably under this particular person who sits as president of the United States, get out. There's ways to do it. And he did it in a very flamboyant way. I will never fault someone. Look, I always say this. I'm from Philadelphia. National Security Leaders for America has a video of retired military people reading the Declaration of Independence. I'm in Philadelphia reading the Declaration of Independence. I believe every word of that indictment against Mad King George III, which is now, as you read it, it's clearly an indictment against Donald Trump, right? Everything that they said in there. So if this guy wants to stand on the steps of the Capitol and do it, more power to you, because I am an American and I believe in your right to free speech. And I also believe in your right to end your career the way you choose. That's it. Okay. Well, Italy from Empower Dance Project. Will it be U.S., Italy, France, Israel, and Southern Lebanon training the army but not fighting Hezbollah? According to France, Macron, it will be Italy and France with the Lebanese army, the U.S. and Lebanese army, and Israel together. And I suspect they're going to want to try to disarm people. Ba, 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 ba. And by the way, somebody here is talking about degrees. They were like, Malcolm doesn't have a degree in intelligence. My degree is a bachelor's of science in Arabic, by the way, from the same university. Every senior enlisted in the armed forces gets their degree. Excelsior College in New York City. Every Master Chief Petty Officer in the Navy, Gunnery Sergeant of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Army, they all get their degrees there. We all do. It's like a senior enlisted secret we all like to do.
Is in the military?
Yeah, mainly, no, it's civilians. Civilians can go there. It's
Mm.
just that they take our credit. Someone said oh, wait a minute. Malcolm, I heard you say Montel Williams is going to write the forward for you. I haven't gotten a hold of him yet. He's hard to get a hold of. I've written to all his agents. I wish you hadn't let me know. My husband made a few calls to get his agent's number for you. Teresa Sylvia, try again. Have your husband call. Contact those agents. Get on his Twitter feed. He's very. I know he's. I know he's. He has other projects. I know he works for a big agency. He has 4 different speaking agencies. Wow. I have one. He's got 4. That guy's amazing. But I would really like
I
to
don't
get a
even
hold of.
have one.
I got my buddy Al Franken working on it too. Not Al Franken, Al Sharpton working on that too. Al Franken is a buddy of mine. He came here and made me a ham sandwich one day. Malcolm, I've been trying to capture your recommendations for a movie. Could you put out a list of recommended movies? Yeah, we could do that. You watch a lot of movies?
I like documentaries. I like movies. Yes. I just learned about the fourth 2 days ago.
Oh, good. And finally, from Max again, copying the 1-7 in case you want to see this one. Malcolm, I listened to the 6 questions show you were on last night, and after the USMNT Triumph win, before bed, I have to say your answers to the rapid fire questions at the end made me feel proud to be an American. We will all persevere through all the bullshit. Thank you. First question they asked was, What makes you happiest? And I said, seeing my late wife at Washington Crossing National Cemetery. And then he said, well, what makes you angriest? And I talked about everything that's happening in America. And I actually got tears in my eyes. I was so sad at all of this stuff. I wish it could have been for the first question. Probably was. But gosh, that was a good show, right? Well, this has been a good show too. I'm glad we had this talk. Look, we went over 19 minutes after starting late. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. And I love all of you who've come to Black Man Spy Podcast. Even those of you who pay me $7 a month just to come and insult me. Thanks for becoming a paid subscriber. I will not be authorizing your chargeback. I will be using what you wrote as evidence against you for your chargeback. So I'm going to keep your money. But for the rest of you who do enjoy this, who learn cultural intelligence, who learn languages, who learn things based on the learned experience of Wajeeh, who's over there, I can't point to you, there, who's over there, Wajeeh and myself, we appreciate that you come here because everybody else, there's news shows. This is real intelligence. This is how not Wajeeh. Wajeeh is not a spy. He's a civilian that we have brought on board for analysis. I don't want to get him in any trouble. You know what I'm saying? Um, but guys like Jacob and I, this is how we talk. We speak and we do analysis with each other. This shared discussion gives us insights we might not have from other analysts. And that's why we don't all know everything. There was an entire discussion going on about the procession for for Ali Khamenei. His body is being taken to first to Najaf Karbala, then up back to Qum. Then he will be buried in the city of his birth, Mashhad. So I didn't get that because I read 5,000 things in the morning, and that's a detail that I thought was in Wajeeh's post. And somebody came up here and put it. This is the way we share intelligence with each other. And we make fun of idiots. So, I mean, between so thanks again. Somebody says, Malcolm, go find out. Surfy, I have been talking about Major Watson, but it is not related to the Middle East crisis that we have. And I know Good Ginger, all those other guys have been out there supporting people who have left the service. Thank you for coming to Black Man Spy, 1 hour, 22-minute edition with Wajeeh Lion from Minneapolis, Minnesota, myself. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you're watching the recording. It takes a little while for us to get it. It usually takes about an hour and a half for it to spool up and upload into YouTube. So bear with us. Please subscribe if you are on YouTube. Hey, if you're on Substack and you're following me, all 93,000 of you, please go over to YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. It's free. Because if I get to 250,000 followers, the algorithm there, like, I go up into big numbers. Same thing if you are on YouTube, come to malcolmnance.substack.com, hit the free paid subscriber number, hit Wajeeh's subscriber number, hit the free subscriber button, and we can go back up. We're having a post-war adjustment. No one wants to watch this for 128 days, but the people who do, you guys are real experts by now. Believe me, I know you are. Wajeeh, I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully Jacob will be
See
back.
you tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Fimallah.
He said he won't
Have
be here for the
fun.
weekend, actually.
Oh, he's taking 4th of July off. I'm working 4th of July. Hey, it's going to hit 95 degrees here where I'm at. It was 101 yesterday. So I'm going to go out and work in the air-conditioned attic.
Oh my God.
That's
That
such a
doesn't
luxury.
sound like a bad idea in the hot weather.
That's all I
actually.
can do. I think we're folding clothes or something. All right, take care, everybody. See
Have
you
a good
tomorrow.
one.
Bye-bye.
Still on. It's not ending from my end. Come on. There you go. Malcolm, you're still alive, by the way.